There once was a small, vibrant town nestled at the edge of a dense forest and rolling hills. The people of this town were hardworking, proud of their traditions, and followed the same well-trodden paths that their ancestors had walked for generations. Each morning, as the sun rose and cast its golden rays across the dew-drenched fields, the townsfolk would set out along the main road that wound through the heart of their home, connecting them to the world beyond. One day, after a night of heavy rain and thunder that shook the very foundations of their homes, the people woke to a startling discovery. Right in the middle of the main road, blocking all traffic, was a massive boulder. It had tumbled down from the mountain during the storm, landing with such force that it split the road in two. The giant rock stood as tall as a house, its surface jagged and unyielding, its presence an insult to the smooth, predictable flow of daily life. At first, the townspeople were stunned. They gathered around the boulder, some with hands on hips, others shaking their heads in disbelief. For as long as anyone could remember, the road had been their lifeline. Children walked it to school, merchants used it to carry their goods, and farmers relied on it to bring their harvest to market. Now, the path was blocked, and uncertainty filled the air. The first reaction was frustration. People grumbled and complained, blaming the storm, the mountain, even fate itself. Some tried to push the rock, but it did not budge. Others brought shovels and picks, chipping away at the edges, but their efforts left little more than scratches on its hard surface. Days passed, and nothing changed. The boulder became the subject of heated debates in the town square. There were calls to form committees, to petition the distant city authorities for help, to wait for someone with more power or resources to solve the problem. But as the days turned into weeks, the boulder remained, unmoved and unmovable. As time wore on, the townspeople's frustration turned into resignation. Some began to accept the new reality, resigning themselves to inconvenience and delay. Children took detours through muddy fields, their shoes caked with dirt. Merchants struggled to haul their carts over rocky paths not meant for wheels. The entire town seemed to move slower, burdened by the obstacle that none could remove. But in the midst of this collective despair, a young girl named Lynn watched in silence. She was not the strongest, nor the loudest, but she was observant. While the others focused on the obstacle, Lynn spent her days exploring the edges of the forest, watching how the animals navigated the world. She noticed how deer would leap over fallen logs, how streams would carve new channels when blocked, and how birds would fly above the tallest trees with ease. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low and cast long shadows across the giant rock, Lynn had an idea. She walked along the outskirts of the town, tracing a path parallel to the blocked road. She noticed a narrow trail, overgrown with grass and wildflowers, that wound around the base of the mountain. It was rough and unused, but it led past the boulder and rejoined the main road on the other side. With determination in her heart, Lynn returned to the town square and called out for everyone to listen. At first, the townsfolk dismissed her. "We've always used the main road," they said. "Why should we change now? The rock will be moved eventually." But Lynn persisted, sharing what she had seen and inviting others to join her in clearing the old trail. A few curious souls followed her. They brought machetes, rakes, and shovels, and together they worked to widen the path. It was hard, dirty work. Thorns scratched their arms, roots tripped their feet, and the sun beat down mercilessly. But as the days passed, the trail became clearer, smoother, and more inviting. Word spread, and more people joined in, drawn by Lynn's quiet determination and the promise of a new way forward. When the path was finally ready, Lynn and her companions led the first procession around the boulder. They laughed as they walked, feeling a sense of freedom and accomplishment. The new path was not the same as the old road. It was wilder, less predictable, and it required more effort to travel. But it was open, and it was theirs. Slowly, the town began to change. Merchants adapted their carts for the uneven ground. Children learned to navigate the twists and turns, and farmers discovered that the new route passed by fertile meadows they had never noticed before. The obstacle that had once seemed impossible to overcome had forced the town to discover a new path, and in doing so, they found new opportunities and strengths they had never imagined. The giant rock remained, a silent witness to the transformation. It was no longer a symbol of defeat, but a reminder that sometimes the obstacles we face are invitations to change our path. The road ahead is not always clear, and the way forward may require us to leave behind what is familiar. But in choosing to adapt, to look for new solutions, and to work together, we find not only a way around the problem, but a greater sense of resilience and possibility. This story holds a lesson that goes far beyond the boundaries of the small town. In life, we all encounter giant rocks in our path. They come in many forms: a lost job, a broken relationship, a sudden illness, or a dream that seems out of reach. Our first instinct is often to fight the obstacle head-on, to use all our strength and willpower to force it out of the way. When that fails, frustration sets in, and we may be tempted to give up or wait for someone else to solve the problem for us. But the truth is, not every obstacle is meant to be removed. Some challenges are too great, too deeply rooted, or too much a part of the landscape of our lives. In these moments, the choice is not whether to overcome the obstacle, but whether to let it define us. We can choose to see the boulder as an end or as a beginning, a chance to change direction, to explore new possibilities, and to grow in ways we never thought possible. Changing our path is not easy. It requires courage to let go of what is familiar and step into the unknown. It demands creativity as we search for new ways forward. It calls for persistence as we face the discomfort and setbacks that come with trying something different. And it needs the support of others, for no one clears a new trail alone. Yet, in every challenge lies the seed of transformation. As we adapt and innovate, we discover strengths we did not know we had. We build resilience, the quiet confidence that comes from overcoming adversity. And we inspire those around us, just as Lynn inspired her town, to look beyond the obstacle and imagine what might be possible. Think about the boulders in your own life. Are you standing before them, waiting for them to move? Or are you searching for a new path? Are you clinging to the old ways, or are you open to the adventure of forging something new? The road you once relied on may be blocked, but there is always another way forward, if you are willing to look for it. Remember, changing your path does not mean giving up on your dreams. It means finding a new route to reach them. It means embracing flexibility, creativity, and the willingness to adapt. Sometimes the detour leads us to places more beautiful, more rewarding, and more meaningful than we ever imagined. As the town learned to thrive with its new path, the giant rock became a symbol of hope rather than despair. Children played at its base, telling stories of the day the road was blocked and how their parents cleared a new way. Visitors came from neighboring towns, curious to see the famous boulder and the trail that wound around it. The town became known not for the obstacle it faced, but for the spirit with which it overcame it. So, the next time you face a giant rock in your own road, remember the lesson of Lynn and her town. Do not waste your energy in frustration or resignation. Instead, open your eyes to new possibilities, gather those around you, and start clearing your own path. The journey may be difficult, but the rewards are great. You will discover not only a way forward, but a deeper understanding of your own strength, creativity, and resilience. In every obstacle, there is an opportunity. In every detour, a chance to grow. Let the giant rocks in your path be the beginning of your greatest journey, not the end. Choose to change your path, and you will find the victory that comes not from avoiding challenges, but from embracing them with open heart and determined spirit. In the end, it is not the road we walk that defines us, but the courage we show when the path is blocked. The lesson of the giant rock is simple, yet profound. When life places an obstacle in your way, do not despair. Change your path, and you will discover a world of possibilities waiting just beyond the boulder.